Anthony with The Weekly Buffer, an innovation and tech today podcast where we give you your weekly tech fix in 3 5-minute stories. I'm joined by our senior video editor, Adam Saldaña. Adam, say hi to the people.
How's it going, everybody?
And I'm also joined by our managing editor, Mr. Dylan Rodgers. How are you doing today?
Hello, doing great.
Well, and we have a few pretty interesting topics today. First of all, we have Halloween coming up this week.
It's true.
Should be a lot of fun.
Ooh.
My story has nothing to do with Halloween, but I just thought I would fill the air a little bit before we actually get into the topics. Because there is something quite scary that's coming up.
Oh, what's that?
It's the PlayStation Classic Edition is coming. And it's not so much itself that's scary, it's the games that were omitted. So, for the uninitiated out there, the Sony PlayStation Classic is like this recreation of the old PS1.
Mm-hmm.
And it's got a bunch of the games in it. You know, Nintendo's done this, Sega's done this.
So it's like the retro systems with
Yeah.
the games built in automatically.
The games are built
Right.
in. You don't need
Okay.
any CDs or anything.
But you can't
Nice.
add any games.
Can't
either.
add any games. Can't take any games out. So I guess you could.
Perfect
if you,
for the holiday season.
Great
yeah.
for the holiday season.
So-
lots of happy young children opening this up.
Yeah,
That sounded
definitely.
weird. But they've announced it with 20 games. And when you guys think of PlayStation, like the PS1, what do you think of? What games do you think
Classic games. Grand Theft Auto is that one of?
of? That's going to be on there.
So Grand Theft
gonna be on
Auto.
Tecmo Stackers.
Of course you're gonna.
Tecmo.
Yeah, it's a really good
Tecmo
one. Check it out.
Love that, yeah.
Never heard of that one.
Underrated gem on
Yeah,
there.
it really is.
Some other classics like you were talking about, like the Crash.
Final Fantasies.
Final Fantasy.
Uh-huh.
Well, it's interesting. So, it does include a bunch of the classics. It's got your Final Fantasy VII, your
Okay.
Grand Theft Auto the First.
Need for Speed?
I did not see Need for Speed on there. Tekken is going to be on there.
Fighting game. So
Nice fighting
they kind
game.
of game it.
Rayman, which is like a
Rayman. Nice.
platformer. But we're missing Crash Bandicoot, which is huge.
Crash.
Everyone loves
Yeah.
Crash Bandicoot.
Oh yeah.
Spyro, the dragon, purple dragon.
He was
Some people like
definitely.
them,
I really didn't care for
You didn't care for Spyro?
No, I like the Crash though. Crash Bandicoot. I mean, that's like the 3D.
Like Mario. of
3D Mario,
PlayStation.
yeah.
What I like, unlike Sonic 2, he had the common decency to wear pants. I always appreciated that.
Where
Um,
and remember at E3
yeah.
they were really pushing Crash Bandicoot.
Oh, yeah,
and
yeah.
Spyro they had.
And Spyro, they
too,
had
yeah,
a full
so.
Spyro. We played the Spyro game. It was actually
So
pretty good.
you said how many games are going to be on this?
So 20 total games. We're also missing Tony Hawk,
Oh,
which is going to be
Ouch.
crazy.
Sorry, Tony.
Tony,
Yeah.
that was a big one. Like PlayStation, I remember.
Yeah,
that was
yeah,
one of the-
yeah.
After Grand Theft Auto, and Tony Hawk was like the takeover. Like
It's
when 1,
crazy,
2, 3
like,
came over.
How popular that was, yeah, when it was big. And now
Right.
he's in a nursing home now. A lot of people don't know that.
Tony, stop.
Yeah,
No.
I know. He's very old
Yeah.
now. But that's because of the music, I bet. Because, it had it had Goldfinger, it had
Some of the
That's true.
licensing, like you
all
mean
those,
they're
all
gonna-
that licensing, it's all getting caught up in that red tape.
Yeah,
as you
yeah.
do.
But it's weird. It's still in the game. I mean, whether it's in a CD version or on a motherboard, it seems like it's.
It's all that
Those classic-
licensing with music is just so complicated, though.
Yeah.
That sometimes it's just not even
That's
worth
what
it.
gets me, and I probably sound old saying this, but you have all the games built in now. We don't have the cartridges anymore,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
CDs, so it kind of takes away from that. But
A little bit.
I still can't believe that I missed blowing into a game.
Oh,
Or something like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Getting your old CD scratched, like the one little tiny nick. Can't
Yeah.
play the game
And
anymore.
it's just
That-
entirely destroyed. You can't
one
even get past
tiny
level
that old
1.
ring around the. Remember the Xbox would do that to some.
See,
some
I never actually had the Xbox, but
Oh.
I've always seen the red
those-
rings.
That ring around
The red ring of
Yeah,
death.
yeah. Why
Not
did
to
that
get
happen?
confused with the red ring of death, which is like something internal with the Xbox, but
Oh,
there's something
okay.
like when the CD spun, it just scratched your game
What?
into so there was just a circle
They-
onto your game.
They have one
Put on the
job.
self-destruct
Yeah.
sequence.
Yeah, their only job is to make a console that doesn't break.
Right, and I remember having one too. Like the eject button didn't work, so I had to manually open. Yeah, so
Oh,
hopefully,
man.
so you don't have to open. You don't have to open and put a CD in anymore.
No, yeah.
That's
So
really
it's none of that.
classic.
It's also going to be missing Tomb Raider and missing Gran Turismo.
Yeah, the Tomb
Which,
Raider though.
that's another one that's like everyone
Gran
associates
Turismo,
with PlayStation.
Well, they
though.
probably didn't want to undercut their sales of
Like games that are out now.
of the other. Yeah.
Oh,
maybe.
because when you think about it, yeah, Crash is still out. Like they just did the big trilogy thing. Tony Hawk is dead though.
It's possible that people are still
Tony Hawk's
playing.
Not really. No, he's not
Yeah,
dead.
it's
But
like-
the series, they don't make any Tony Hawk games anymore. He might be dead. I don't know.
It's,
Go on.
I guess it's
That'd be
possible that there's still a
interesting.
market for these old games,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
maybe they don't want to undercut that. for some reason.
I think what we're forgetting is like there are a lot of people that have the nostalgia for these games. I don't have it as much.
Right.
But that's
I
the
was more
point
an
of the
N64
classic.
I
kid.
wanted the Nintendo Classic, so I could see a lot of consumers buying this. And if you're a die-hard PlayStation fan, I mean, I think one of those things will be like on the top of your list to get.
You know what I'm most interested in seeing about this is the cord length, because I have the SNES Classic, great system, couple bummer games.
Yeah.
But the cord length is terrible. So you have to get kind of close to the TV, where you kind of would assume they would have figured that part out by now.
Okay, but you have the SNES Classic. Is there any game missing that you're just like heartbroken about? Because it seemed like I've seen that list, and it seems totally, comprehensive.
It's pretty it's pretty good. I can't think of one at this point.
So I mean, I think that's going to be the big problem is like when you're missing some of those key games, people are going to see it as a missed opportunity.
Sure, of course.
I could see that. Yeah, I definitely could see that.
Yeah,
so. Interesting.
So broken potential. That's the theme of today.
Well, moving right along in sense of holiday and PlayStation unveiling this new thing.
New tech.
I wanted to kind of talk about this new Apple special event that's happening tomorrow. Have you guys heard?
Apple. I've not heard of them. Are they new?
No, actually they're an older. Well, no. So right in time for holiday season, Apple's holding this special event at the Brooklyn Academy Museum. The Brooklyn Arts Museum, right? Bam.
Right. Bam.
They're holding this special event in Brooklyn, which is kind of like a little bit off their script, which usually they do a lot of their products and their announcements and unveilings at their like Apple Live Event Center in California.
Right.
So it's kind of interesting. A lot of the people that are like on the product list, and they sent out invitations to creators, and like their theme is there's more in the making. So kind of bouncing off last month, they just had released the iPhone X, kind of talking about the iPhone XR and the 10s. So they're kind of bouncing off that. But
how big are those phones now?
The 10s, I want to say they're 8-inch. But see, that's one of the things they're going to be focusing on tomorrow. A lot of speculation. One of the big things are going to be talking about the new iPad Pro. So kind of updating the old iPad, but one of the really big things, obviously iPad, you could take it to go. It was one of their main key points that, like, when they first unveiled it, a lot of people were like, oh, we're going to have a new tablet in our hand, being able to take it everywhere. It kind of wasn't competing with smartphones nowadays, and they have the new iPhone X, so it kind of like competed with itself. So seeing what they got in plan for this new iPad Pro is going to be really interesting. So
agreed. I guess I think that the Surface has made some ground. Made some headway on them to take some of the market share.
The new touch, and they really want to focus on that. Some of the new things they're talking about with this new iPad Pro, the no home button, kind of like they did with the iPhone X, removing that home button. They're gonna try to minimize the bezel around the edge. So remember the original iPads, obviously there was a nice framed edge. So kind of like what they're doing with new TVs these days, kind of beveling that edge so it seems like more immersive.
Infinity edge.
Right. Little. They're gonna have this true in-depth camera for facial recognition, kind of like exactly like the iPhone X. So a lot of this new tech is gonna be entering into this.
So real quick on that facial recognition. Do you know what's going into that? Is it just that it maps where a face is, or is it that it starts telling you information about?
I want to say it does do biometrics, so like spatial recognition of where your eyes and nose and ears. So it does use biometrics. I don't know if it getting into too in depth with that, but
okay.
And so one of the things too with the iPad, like even just unlocking it, you'd have to like put it into landscape or portrait mode. So just simple little bugs that they're updating. They're gonna try to so you can unlock your phone.
So it's not gonna pull up the negative comments you left somebody on Facebook.
Yeah,
right?
wait, no,
sideways or whatever.
Yeah, if you're like a criminal with this facial recognition, will it? I've got
I don't know, because a lot of data
they're probably getting that data.
Yeah, that's a whole nother topic into that. But
I just decided I'm not gonna purchase one of these. Never mind.
Right. And lastly, one of the cool things that they're really talking about is this USB-C port, which it's kind of the first time that Apple is going to be having an external, besides their Thunderbolt, which is like in all the iPhones. So having this new USB-C port will open up possibilities for like any PC externals or even an external display. USB-C is capable of doing like 4K. So it'll be really interesting of what these little iPads could do. They obviously talked about the pencil that goes with it and stuff like that. So it's really interesting. I'm gonna I kind of can't wait to hear the pricing they're going to announce out, because that's one of their main focuses. Yeah. They're pushing, obviously, in March, they went to Chicago to Lane Tech, and we're kind of they're showing hands-on students using the iPad and using the Mac, so it's kind of like educational based. They're really trying to push that, trying to get all these into school, so hopefully they'll drop the price point.
Well, they made a big splash in schools, especially in one-to-one programs where every student has a device.
Right, and this was early on.
Early on, and then that kind of started to fall off because it's such a powerful tool that it was hard to manage, like the IT people at the top of the district. Right. And that's kind of where Chromebooks came in, where it's very regulated and very simple and super reliable that way. Plus, like typing a paper on an old iPad is really tough.
Yeah. So, and see, that's one thing too with this new external. They'll have like some keyboards and stuff like that, and just the price point alone. Having it be able to go with like creatives and stuff like that, I think that'll really push this new wave of education and getting it into like this one-on-one.
Sure.
And so I think it'll be really interesting to see. So if you miss it, it's October 30th, Tuesday. It starts at 10 a.m. Eastern, so tune in live, or if not, watch a little after. So it'll be really interesting. Apple's always pushing the boundaries, moving stuff right along. So
I'm wondering who's like going to this event at like on a Tuesday.
So like I said, what they did,
Apple employees.
Apple employees are definitely going, but they sent out individual like creative little apples, which are really cool. If after the show, we'll look them up. But they had sent out like each individually designed apples to like 300 creatives, which are students, molecular modelers, gigapixel photographers. So it's a lot of these people who are actually going to be using this new tech, performing artists, musicians, stuff like that. So they really sent out like, they want to not just Apple employees to be showing off this stuff, but creators that are going to be actually using it, so they can kind of talk about the problems they have when they're using it on the field and stuff like that. So
and molecular modelers.
The Tuesday morning one is
it's like an interesting time to like. Are there just gonna be like general public people there at all?
No, dude. Molecular modelers
like Apple,
are gonna make up a large part of the.
Well, the Apple fans can be so fanatic that I wonder if there's just gonna be a big group of them.
Oh, no doubt.
Like it's the Ed Sullivan show.
Apple's got its own little tribe going with that. So.
Well, I'm really looking to play some Minesweeper, so I might purchase one soon if it has
a new iPad.
If it has the processing power,
newest tech.
I think I might give it a shot.
Yeah, these things are gonna be blowing. I mean, and every year they come out with new stuff, and it kind of overwhelms us a little bit. Every year coming out with something new, but you got to think about it like. Step back, like if they didn't come out with something new, we'd probably be wanting like, where's the new thing, like what's improving, what's going on.
Maybe.
So sometimes I kind of see the two ends of that, but it's like they do overwhelm us every couple months with something new. But right now, this October event that's happening tomorrow is supposed to be really big. It's their like right before the holiday season push. The new MacBook Pro they're going to be talking about, and some of the other new tech like the Air Power they were talking about with wireless tech. They've been trying to perfect that a little bit. It's like a little pad where you could put your phone and your AirPod.
It charges it, right?
Yeah, like the wireless, kind of that wireless charging capability. So they've been trying to perfect that. So we'll see what we're going to be. I mean, everyone has iPhone. Everyone has. I mean, even the Android users kind of go off what Apple is kind of laying the groundwork for that. So it'll be really interesting what they have.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
Yeah. Speaking of new tech, new releases.
Do go on.
I wanted to talk about something that Amazon is unreleasing. They've taken it back. They were actually using this. It's an algorithm that they were using to make the hiring process more fair and efficient.
Some AI.
So it's like an AI that you have to train an algorithm to do what you want it to do, right? And so they trained it with 10 years of prior hiring data.
Right.
And then they said, okay, be free. Go out and tell us who to hire.
Yeah.
Well, guess what?
What was the problem?
Of course there's a problem. Let me ask you, what do you think? So what...
Amazon.
Who are they? Who is it suppressing? What was it finding would be good?
I'm gonna say it's gonna be
middle-aged.
10 years. Things have changed so much,
literally. That's probably the problem. If they go back 10 years, like, they're only sticking to one category, or what's the deal?
Well, the deal is they really hadn't hired a lot of women or women who attended a woman's college. And so the algorithm is like, oh, they're obviously not good candidates for the job. So it suppressed them Yeah, it started downgrading them so that their resumes wouldn't pop up when the hiring agent goes to look at this.
Right. So some of the data that goes into that, must be.
Did not one person think like, oh, maybe we should like take a look at some of this stuff before we just feed this data in?
Well,
or were they,
I mean,
like,
this
Amazon's doing great. Let's throw in.
This is how things go, right? We come up with some great idea.
Yeah.
We got this robot that's going to do these things for us.
Right, save time on the hiring. Save time on the hiring process because it does take a lot of time. So.
Well, it sucks. I'm not sure how long it took them to find this problem. But
after 10 Joe Schmoes showed up all in the same, looking the same physically.
Well, first there's a lot of dudes here.
Yeah.
Funny you say that. There's another instance. I just want to throw this in as an aside. By the way, the Political Gab Fest did this as a. I don't want to take all the credit here, but they did this as a piece of their last show. No, I just want to mention that. So there's another instance of an algorithm that was screening resumes, doing the same idea, right? And it found that there are two factors that are most indicative of stellar job performance.
I'm going to say, let's see, tall and good hair?
Close.
Okay.
Yeah, you have to be tall to be a good worker. Those short people out there, be careful.
Yeah. Close only in the sense that it's entirely arbitrary. The two factors that this algorithm decided were the most important were your name had to be Jared.
Oh.
That
And
makes sense.
Super specific.
You had to play high school lacrosse.
Oh, okay.
And that was the best indicator that this person's going to be successful at this
Jared
job.
lacrosse.
Have you ever met an unsuccessful Jared? Outside of the subway guy now.
There you
go. Too soon.
But like that's such a random thing.
Oh, that is crazy. Yeah.
Is it Jared with a J or a G? That's what I want to know.
There's no Jared with a G.
I think there's a Jared with a G.
I think you mean Gerard.
Maybe.
I don't know.
I didn't know the emphasis.
I've never met a Jared. And I played
like
lacrosse.
A specific Jared, but
you have half. You have half of the.
I played lacrosse, and I've been turned down for so many interviews.
If only they knew. If only they
were using this algorithm.
Yeah.
So Amazon found the problem. Are they just going to trash?
Oh yeah, they found it and they took it off. They removed it from
back to humans.
From use.
Back to humans hiring people, right?
Yeah, I'm assuming that they're going to be tweaking it, but this really brings up the question. Should algorithms be doing this?
Yeah, because like that makes you not really trust algorithms if they're going to make this kind of like non-human.
They're always making stupid
such a human decision because as like a decision maker, like you have to kind of read people, and how does AI do that without looking visually?
Well,
but it's always human.
It's certain indicators. It's like TiVo. I remember Patton Oswalt does this bit about his TiVo where he watched some movie and then it started recording all these random movies. He's like, I don't know what's going on, and he realized they all have horses in them. They're like, oh, it's got a horse. Let's record that.
Oh my god!
So that's an algorithm at work.
Yeah,
right. They were talking about really shortly. I'll touch on this, but they were saying Netflix was like targeting people too, using algorithms with the ads they were showing just recently.
I've heard of that.
Sure,
yeah.
and Hulu does that too.
Like it was like culturally showing like a lot of like African American movies to like people that just were watching. So it was like one of those weird things that like caused like a red flag.
I think it was like catering the ads to your race. I think
that's what it was. Yeah. It was like catering you to their race. So not knowing what movies you were watching, what race you were, like it was just automatically putting movies like. So that was and something like that. It's like an algorithm that like how did they know what?
Well, and like I think we've all done this with Netflix, where you even watch like a few comedies, and then it starts saying this is a 96% match for you, or like this is a 78%.
That's always
and it's like scary how
customers
like,
also
the
watch.
numbers that go into it.
It's really interesting.
Well, so the lesson here. The takeaway
okay.
for all you listeners and viewers out there
is,
look, if you're looking for a job, it might be worth asking if they have an algorithm, that they're using an algorithm, and sometimes I'm assuming that this is applying online, something like that, that's kind of weeding out resumes, but it could be a worthwhile question. Also, if you're doing the hiring and you're using an algorithm, check what it's doing.
Just double
look
check.
Look at the data you're putting into it.
Once you see a pattern of 10 Jareds.
Crappy data in means crappy results out.
Yeah, and for all of our high school listeners out there, start playing lacrosse now and change your name to Jared.
Not a bad idea.
All you need to do for your professional career. I think that is enough time for us today for another episode of The Weekly Buffer. It's so good to be back.
Yeah, thanks for joining us.
Absolutely. Until next time, my name is Anthony.
I'm Adam.
I'm Dylan.
You guys have a wonderful week.
Have a good one, guys.
Later.